Welcome back to Cool Times Podcast. We talk all things cool about the cold storage construction industry. Joining me to my right is my business and life partner, Miss Jenna Free. Hi, what's up? I am also the co-host here, Vince Free. And today we have a very awesome podcast with an even awesomer dude.
New words.
New words.
Love them.
Exactly. Hey, man, it's the new age of the cold chain. It's the new age of Arcadia, man. Unrelenting focus on customer needs each and every day. Joining us is our good friend, Burnie Taylor.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, guys. I appreciate the invite. I appreciate the opportunity. I actually finally get to look cool.
Yeah. Dude, you always look cool, man. You serve on the CEBA board.
Yes.
We've gone on retreats together, and we brainstormed about the industry together, and we've been to some cool places. So, man, you're cool. You're cool.
Yeah. Well, cold sometimes, right? So depending on which chamber I'm in, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Love this industry. Been in it a long time, and excited for the discussion today.
Same. And what I want to do here is just for all of our listeners out there, we do cold storage. We do cold storage construction. We store food. We get it distributed throughout the world. And we got some upcoming events for our industry specifically that I just want to touch on real quick for all of the listeners here. October 7th is the Icon Cold in Las Vegas. We have September 23rd is the GCCA in Bonita Springs, Florida.
Yes.
And the last show that we will be attending is the CEBA in Ponte Vedra Beach.
That's
Florida.
incorrect. That's in Sawgrass.
It's still Ponte.
Is it?
It's still Sawgrass? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sawgrass, Florida?
I think it's one and the same.
Clearly, we're not from there.
It's one and the same.
Yeah.
It's over there in Florida.
Yeah.
Flying to Jacksonville. That's November 11th. Put that in your calendars. You will find us at all three of those events. I know, Burnie, you're going to one of those events for sure, CEBA, as you are on the board. But as Chief Development and Solutions Officer, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do. Tell us about Arcadia.
Certainly. Real quick, before I jump into that, I should definitely mention that Arcadia will be represented at both Icon and the GCCA. So even though I will only be attending CEBA this year, our team members will be there and participating. So exciting. So Burnie Taylor, I'm the Chief Development and Solutions Officer here at our Arcadia Cold. I've been with the organization a little over 3 years, and the company was formed just a couple months prior to that. So,
Really?
So we were founded in April of 2021, right, with a kind of sole purpose and mission to build out a network of new facilities, straight greenfield strategy, right? I was actually the number 2 employee.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
So cool.
I was the second one. So I kind of got to see it from all the way many years to come, right? So in my role, I get to partner with a great team of professionals that lead engineering, our kind of solutions group, as well as our startup team, right? So as we build these facilities out, execution is key, right? So I have a team of subject matter experts in operations and maintenance and administrative, back office customer service stuff that collectively, help to stand the company up originally, right? By developing SOPs, aligning those with processes within the facility, our system. So we have a brilliant technology stack, right, with Blue Yonder as the primary application there. So we spent a lot of time in the first couple of years really kind of developing that and getting ready. And then last year we hit the ground running, opening our first 5 facilities.
Wow.
5 in 1 year?
Actually, we opened 5 in 5 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was not necessarily the original sequence, but as we all know, right, there's a lot of variables out there, coming out of COVID, et cetera, that impacted our industry and, pushed some things around a little bit.
You guys put up 5 facilities in 5 months. Obviously, there was a lot of planning and strategizing that went into that. What was the approach, I guess, to determining where you would place these facilities?
So early on, right, we always kind of envisioned building out 20 to 25 buildings in the network, right?
Okay.
And as we thought about those first locations, we really focused on three key areas, right? First, major distribution markets, right? Hubs around the country where it made sense to add space and or there were specific customer needs, right? Everything kind of centers around the customer. We also have a focus on port-centric markets, right? The first 5 did happen to be all distribution, but that's really how we decided how we wanted to go to market, right? And the locations. And from a real estate standpoint, we have a development partner in Saxon Real Estate, and they are real estate experts end to end. So they really drive, the land search, acquiring the land through their acquisitions team. And we collaborate on the location and the sequence of the sites.
Sure.
Okay. Wow. Are you able to share where your facilities are at the moment?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So we opened Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
In Eastern PA in July of 23. Shortly after that, we opened Atlanta, Georgia. It's kind of just south of the airport if you're familiar with the area.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Followed by Burleson, Texas, which is just south of Fort Worth.
Yep.
35.
Our backyard, baby.
Yeah.
That's in your backyard, exactly.
Texas.
And then we brought up Phoenix, and finally in early November, Reno, Nevada.
Wow.
5 for last year.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
Stretches across the country.
Well, if you want to do
Right.
20 to 25 in 5 to 7 years, man, where are you going next?
All right. Great question. We're getting ready to open Jacksonville, Florida.
Let's go.
Yes.
In the fourth quarter. So
Love
we're
it.
getting close to our first port-based facility.
Okay.
We've got Charleston, South Carolina. Shortly after that, that'll be online probably late spring, early summer of next year. And we're about to officially break ground and announce 2 facilities in the Chicagoland area.
Wow. Very cool.
Let's go, man.
Exciting
Midwest,
stuff.
where we're from.
Hometown baby.
Well,
Hey, listen, it's hard to have a national network without something in the Chicago area, right?
You're very true about that.
yeah. You're not wrong. Growing up in this industry, and I was selling cold storage and high-speed doors, my territory was Wisconsin, Illinois to start. In Illinois, like it is like the mecca center of cold storage and food distribution. I mean, there's so much in that Chicago area.
Yep.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So I'm going to ask the question that all the listeners are probably going to want me to ask. So I'll just go ahead and do you all the favor. So how do you select your GC partners or design build partners for these facilities? Do you stick to like your top 3 favorites? Do you go out to your top 10 that that can do this? What's Arcadia's strategy on how y'all select who you guys partner with?
Yeah. So look, you use the right word because the approach is a partnership.
Sure.
Right. So with the first 5, Saxon had a couple of different relationships tied in with some real estate things. So there were a couple different variables, but overall, we narrow it down to the top 3 or 4 major design build, firms, general contractors, because of the real estate kind of structure on that side of the business with our development partner. There is a bid process, right, that those partners typically go through.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the general approach. But it's the big names, So Primus is finishing up Jacksonville for us.
Yep.
Charleston will actually be the 3rd facility that we partnered with them on. Rifco, TI Cold, a lot of the names that you would recognize and the audience would recognize.
Yeah. Absolutely. All good friends of ours right there. All good people, man. And great companies to partner with for sure. So how long have you specifically been in the cold storage industry?
So I joined the industry in, May of 2005. I came out of the building materials world. So at the time, I was in the finance and accounting functional area,
Dude,
right?
That's so funny.
That was my focus, right?
You and I are 05 alums, by the way. I started in 2005.
You guys have a big anniversary coming up next
big
year.
anniversary coming up, right?
We do, yeah.
Yeah. So when I came into the industry, I'll be honest, I didn't know a whole lot about cold storage. Coming from a building materials background, right? Ready mix concrete, aggregate, cement. I understood big commercial projects and industrial building, but the refrigerated aspect was a new endeavor for me, right? And it didn't take it long for it to get in my blood. I'll tell you that, right? So I was with Americold,
Okay.
right? Spent about 7 years with them. And then prior to Arcadia, I spent many years with Preferred Freezer Services and ultimately Lineage there towards the end. So kind of worked for a lot of the big names, in business, made a lot of great friends, built relationships, a lot of great experience over the years. But yeah, almost 20 years in the industry, and I love it.
Is there anything that, like, when you got in, when you made that transition from building materials over into like the cold world, is there anything that happened or experiences you went through or even people that you met that you were like, "Oh, I'm home. Like, I'm staying here. Like, this industry is where I'm building my career."
Yeah, I've got a great story around that. So I'd probably been working for Americold for 5 or 6 months, right? And I was a director of financial planning and analysis, right? I was a finance nerd back then. And in my role, I was supporting multiple regions and regional vice presidents in their operations, right? For their budgeting, forecasting, analysis.
Okay.
And I had one in late 2005 that said, "Hey, look, if you really want to talk to me about our business and analyze our business, you need to get out here and learn our business." His name was John Hurd, right? He ran I think it was called the Southwest region at the time, based out of Carthage, Missouri. So he said, "Look, you're going to fly to Northwest Arkansas. I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to drive to 10 of my facilities over the next week. And we're not going in a conference room. We're not pulling up spreadsheets. You're going to get out on the floor and in the freezer and really get to know this business." And that was, I still look back to this day, and that was the moment that I'm like, you know what? I love it. And I want to experience more, right? And ultimately, obviously, I did transition out of finance and accounting role. I joke sometimes that I think IT and HR are the only two functional areas that I haven't worked in this industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Dude, that's awesome.
But that's one thing I love about this industry is I think you meet people who are so passionate about what they do that they want to share that with other people when they can see that their interest is piqued, or someone comes to them and is like, "Hey, can you teach me about this? Can you show me?" Like, people in this industry will stop and do a week-long tour with someone and just kind of, immerse them in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all had some cool moments for sure in the industry too that have stuck out and made us fall in love with the industry. And it's really the people, the relationships, and the stories you get to tell later on about what you do. I mean, my God, you never knew what I do.
In my career, those relationships and maybe where that focus has evolved, right? Early on, I had internal customers, right? And then I spent some time in business development. So I've got built relationships in those areas. But really for the last 12 years, as I transitioned more into operations and project management and ultimately development and engineering, I've met cool people like you, right? You get involved in these large projects, right? And the life cycle of these things are huge, right? It can be, 18 plus months, right? So you get to know these people, right? Whether it's general contractors, architects, all of the trade contractors, right? Thermal, refrigeration, racking, all that. And you build those relationships, and it's funny. That's kind of the world I run in these days,
Right?
Absolutely.
It happens.
Yeah.
I want to switch back to talking a little bit more about Arcadia, who just in the past few years has just, wow.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this new age of cold, this idea behind that. Give our listeners a little info.
The main thing behind it is just a driven customer focused mentality, right?
Okay.
Customer first. And, how do you get to that, right? Much of it is about the people and process, right? So
Mhm.
when we got to build an organization from the ground up, the culture was so important to the leadership team, right?
Yep.
As we
Yes.
developed our approach to our people, our values, which we probably spent 6+ months on, right? Because we didn't want it to be just a tagline or some words on a poster in a facility, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
We wanted to have ones that we were comfortable living and that we could push throughout the organization and have people buy into, right?
Yeah.
So the people and the process that we established is really what is the key to the execution for the customer service
Mhm.
that we are, kind of hell bent on delivering.
Yeah. And I imagine that makes you stand out. What are some other, like, within these values that you guys have built for Arcadia, what makes you stand out from your competitors then?
To me, the values and different attributes within those are
Yeah.
one of them, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
of
So
course.
I'm not saying we reinvented the wheel with many of these, right? Some of them are just kind of blocking and tackling, but some of them are, so near and dear to our hearts as the leadership team.
Mhm.
Whether it's transparency, right?
Yeah.
Accountability, right? We always say, and I tell my team, look, we do what we say we're going to do.
I love that.
Of
Sure.
course, I also say, make it happen, right?
Make it happen.
Yeah, we got to make it happen. But another aspect is, and not that we're alone completely in the industry with this, but the true greenfield strategy, right? We're not growing by M&A. We're not adopting culture, right? We're building ours and establishing it from the ground up. And
Sure.
with new modern facilities, let's be honest. I mean, it makes things in the field operationally a little easier,
Yep.
right? You've got all a new set of network-wide MHE equipment, right?
Yeah.
That's fresh. All new processes, a great, technology stack and systems. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that goes into allowing Arcadia to differentiate itself.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Now, from a building standpoint, Bernie, are you guys doing, when you build a building, are you guys doing anything different than what others would be doing when you build a cold storage warehouse? Anything specific design wise?
I mean, so we have 50-foot clear, conventional space.
Yep.
We want it to be highly flexible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both in temperature ranges, in racking configuration,
Mhm.
right? That will allow us to be, very service oriented and
Sure.
understanding all the different requirements and being able to meet those. So there's no magic secret sauce necessarily with the buildings. And like I always say as well, right? At the end of the day, it comes back to people and process, right?
Yep.
Sure
Yep.
does.
Let's get
Mhm.
new modern buildings that are set up to be safe and efficient.
Mhm.
And then let's put the best people we can in there to operate them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the secret sauce has to be your insulated high speed doors by our good friends Rytech, the
yes.
sponsors of the show today.
Today's
There's
sponsor.
there's no disputing that, right?
Yeah. Well, they're a
yeah.
sponsor and we love them, but we also, man, we got to give them their shout out.
We do have to give them their shout out. So, Rytech, thank you so much for your continued support of the Cold Time podcast.
And Bernie, you got a cool background, and I'm pretty sure that's a Rytech in the background too. I see it. Going into your battery room, I see you.
There you go. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Actually, Vince, that is a storage maintenance area, but it's not a battery room.
Okay.
We're all lithium ion with opportunity chargers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. See,
Yeah.
you do have technologies that are different. You're trying to be more efficient.
Slightly different. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
More efficient.
Yep.
And safer, right? If we don't have operators having to change batteries, that's key.
For sure.
At the end of the day, it's all about safety in this industry, right?
Oh, it
Absolutely.
is.
Yep.
Yep.
In a large industrial setting, that's on our mind every day, right?
It is.
And in our world, we say, listen, everyone's the safety director.
Ooh, I like that.
Everyone is a safety director. I like that. I'm writing that down.
Director.
I mean, between obviously you guys are latest and greatest technology in your lifts. You want your lifts to be efficient. You have the latest technology indoors. Man, there's some crazy technology pieces. I came from the building supply side too when we started, right? I mean, selling the doors and that type of equipment. So I guess my question is, I mean, LEDs, you got
Of course.
your dock doors. I'm sure they're insulated. Are they the knockout dock doors? Are they the impactable dock door types? I don't know, but like, are you guys designing your dock deeper for any specific reason? Are all your freezers able to go down to -20 to hold ice cream? I mean, there's so many things you guys are probably doing, right?
Correct. Right. So for the most part, and within our rooms is -10 to 40.
Wow.
But market to market, we have -20 capabilities. You talked about dock depth, right?
Sure.
That's kind of a market specific specification as well, right? In our distribution facilities, typically we're about 60-foot, speed docks. But in Jacksonville, where we have blast freezing, we'll do a lot of import-export services. We have 80-foot dock. Charleston will be in that range as well, right? Because, special services, inspection, et cetera, right? So we really have 3 specifications, right? Kind of port-centric and how you support import-export type business and distribution, and then a more kind of PRW approach, right? So kind of a public refrigerated facility that could be in a secondary, even a tertiary market, right? If it makes sense for some customer.
Yeah. So what's surprising to you about the cold storage industry in a nutshell?
It's changed over the years. Early on was the fact that no one knew what it was.
Right.
Right. Yeah. These days, I think my family obviously is very well versed in it. But even now, I'll meet new friends or acquaintances, and it always comes up. What do you do? And I say, well, we build and operate these large refrigerators and freezers.
Yeah.
So
like in restaurants that you walk into.
Yes. Right.
They say that, man. They
do.
do. They do say that.
There just wasn't a lot of awareness of it, I would say, until recent years. And
well, it's like I told friends and stuff, everybody understands that food is grown or produced or manufactured somewhere, right?
Sure.
And everybody knows that it ends up in a restaurant or on a grocery shelf or whatnot. But it's that piece in the middle that they don't really think about all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, Burnie, no one asks how the hot dog is made, okay? We just eat the hot dog, all right?
Hey, I'm with you. And I love hot dogs.
Same. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is we had our banker forward us an article the other day. He's like, "Oh, check this out, cold storage." And it's like this huge article about cold storage, right? And it's in, obviously, with these companies now going public. I mean, the eyes are starting to shine on our industry. And I thought that there was a lot of new players coming into our space a couple years ago. I think it's just going to get crazier.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Obviously, I don't want it to get too crazy, right?
No,
As one of those. But
we're a club, okay? Stay away.
Yeah, right. I mean, back to the point, right? When I first got in the industry, it was very fragmented. You had a lot of regional facilities, but you look at all of the M&A activity in the last, 10 years for sure, even a little more than that. You had all the consolidation, and it's allowed, the opportunities for, companies like Arcadia to come in and fill certain gaps in areas. But to your point, I mean, I do think it'll continue to grow because, you referenced the large IPO that just happened, and that put a lot of focus on our industry.
That's
and,
true.
and it is, more visible today than it ever has been.
Absolutely.
So you've been in the cold storage industry for many years now. What would be maybe like a piece of advice if someone's wanting to step into this industry, what would be a piece of advice you'd give them now?
Yeah, I do it. Right. I mean,
do it.
Yeah.
Simple. Do it.
Yeah. Hey, go for it. Just make sure you spend some time in the field and you have a coat when you're there.
Yes.
Burnie, that's important. Spend time in the field, man. I stress that to all of our project managers, at Freeze. I'm like, guys, listen, you're not going to learn by looking at plans or reading a book. I mean, get in the field, interact with the guys, find out how the hot dog is made. In this specific scenario, you want to know every single nut and bolt, rhyme and reason, girt space, base detail, cut, cap, expansion joint, stack joint, door detail, you name it. I want you to know it. I want you to know the name of the tiny screw, that there's 65,000 of these on your building. I want you to know why.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Oh, absolutely. And look, that's key in our business as well, right? I mean, obviously we're the end user of all
Sure.
these technologies,
Yeah.
and we benefit, but it's about, being out and understanding the business, right? I've been very fortunate through my career to have several great mentors, right?
Yeah.
One of them was a gentleman by the name of John Gallagher, who I think we all know, right, at Preferred Freezer. I remember, being out in the field with him, and he never went to a conference room.
Yeah.
Right. In fact,
Mhm.
sometimes the general manager and the local management may not even know he's there, right? Because he's in a side door and on the dock, right? In the
Mhm.
mix. And one of our things we talk about with our leadership team within the facilities today is a kind of simple acronym, MBWA, manage by walking around, right? And
I
ask
like it.
questions, because that's how that's how you learn the business, and that's how you stay on top of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so key because it is different from looking at the plans. When you're out there, you can see how everything kind of works together, right? Like you have all these different trades that come together and you see how, oh, what we do impacts this and what we do impacts this and what they do impacts us. And you don't see that from a
You
static
just
plan.
saw that this week.
I sure did, babe.
Yeah, you just saw that. We just got back from a road trip checking on 3 job sites.
But it makes a difference. It makes a difference. You look at it differently, you see things, you learn about problems and how to solve them quickly.
Yep.
So was John Gallagher, was he walking around and interacting with employees too and that type of stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, probably asking questions, getting in the weeds. I mean, we do that all the time. I mean, I'll ask, it doesn't matter what rank or title you are. I'll go up to anyone and just start asking questions. And more importantly, hey, how are you? How is everything going? Can we get you anything? Like, we want all our people and just share your same culture and values, right? So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So in year one of this organization, I think we ended up that year with like 7 employees, right? Well, now we're well up over 200, right?
Wow.
And we still, as a leadership team, we still try to know as many people in the field as we can, right? Their names, something about them, maybe an interesting story about their family, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because we do believe that is an important driver of the culture within the organization.
Couldn't agree more.
I'm going to bring up a story that happened yesterday, and it was with Grifco, and I know they've built or building some stuff for you guys. And we met this gentleman, and I won't use his name.
I wouldn't.
We met this gentleman, and something happened in his personal life, and he wasn't even an employee of Grifco yet. And Scott Griffin walked into the job trailer and looked at him and said, "Oh, hey, how is this going?" Or, "Hey, how are you doing?" And specifically
a personal
address something major that happened in his life. And he's like, "How did you know that? And you're the owner of the company. Why are you even asking me that? Why do you care?" And he now works for them. And I thought it was one of the most touching stories ever about just being human and being a person and caring. And that right there, that guy is forever going to like give his heart and soul to that company now.
Yeah.
Just
without a doubt. I've known Scott for several years now, and that story doesn't surprise me one bit.
No, it doesn't.
It's just, that's how he leads.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's got a good taste in wine.
He does. He does.
You got to be careful there.
Him and I get into wine battles all the time now, and I give him some good wine. I'm like, you got to try this. You got to try that.
I think we see a lot of that within this industry is, as you were saying, like that, asking those personal questions, understanding those personal stories, understanding the human side of the person that you're working with. I think our industry does a good job of that.
I agree.
It's different.
Agree. I mean, you know what? And you can sense that when you go to the different conferences.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or we run into each other, or we're on projects, shared projects and things like that. It's always a good camaraderie. you know.
It really
Absolutely is.
It really
Well,
is.
speaking of conferences, you know, you're going to CEBA, the Control Environment Building Association. You want to talk a little bit about that and your role in that organization?
Yeah, certainly. So I was fortunate enough to get invited in and nominated, you know, and selected to the board a couple years ago. So I'll be wrapping up my my second year of that. You know, look, it's just such a number one passionate organization, right? And it represents your industry and this industry so well, you know. And I think the things that have happened and how it's evolved over the last couple of years has just been amazing, right? With the focus on developing people within the industry, helping to standardize things across the industry. Because, you know, I'll tell you, you start a project, you know, with one design build or GC firm, right? And you go to another one, there's always little differences. But, you know, I think slowly the expertise and the professionalism is coming together and becoming more standard. And that goes all the way down through all the contractors, right, that we deal with. Because, you know, our approach is not just to know, you know, our GC that we've contracted with and say, hey, you know, in 18 months, hand me the keys to a building.
Right.
You know, we're very active in the field. My engineering team, my kind of owner's rep, so to speak, from an Arcadia standpoint, another industry veteran. You know, it's important to know, you know, from the civil all the way through refrigeration, you know, like I talked about earlier, thermal, racking. Heck, he even likes to know the guys pouring the concrete, right? Make sure that's right. So
Yes. Wow. Tell our listeners, because again, Arcadia, it's been around since 2021. Tell our listeners, if they want to follow along with what you guys are doing, where can they find out more information?
You know, this day and age, like all things, right? There's social media.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter. You can, of course, find us at arcadiacold.com, you know, our website, right? And, you know, we're always open to meet new people and talk about opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, we've got a growing network, you know, for the customer base. If we're not in a market now that makes sense for you, then, you know, hey, we got a greenfield strategy, right? Call us and we'll head that way. So,
I love it.
Look at
that's
that.
the approach.
Well, is there anything else you want to add for our listeners about yourself, Arcadia,
Cold storage in general,
where they can not only, I mean, you're going to CEBA, and you have other folks going to the other conferences.
So Chris Hughes, who is our co-founder and CEO, he'll actually be at Icon, and he is on one of the panels.
Great.
So good representation there. And I think I may have saw where Vince, you're moderating one of the sessions, right?
Yep, they talked me into it again.
Talked me into it. Well, hey, they selected a good one. And then Chris and Andy Jansen, our chief operating officer, will both be at the GCCA.
Awesome.
Representing our Arcadia. So
Andy Jansen, man.
Yeah.
Way back with that guy. Way back.
I've heard a few stories there, Vince. All good. I can't remember if any of them involve wine. But
I don't know, man, but Andy's great. One of the coolest, most nicest, humble guys, and just accept that he's a Cardinals fan.
He is that.
You can't win them all, but you know, Milwaukee's actually dominating them right now, so I can like rub it in for 1 year. It's great.
How you're using the podcast to do that.
Yeah, take that, Andy.
Yeah,
this is on tape.
You know, I feel very fortunate as well to be part of this leadership team. Right, Chris and I actually worked together at Americold many years ago.
Wow.
J.D. Schweffler, our chief commercial officer, he was part of that team as well. So. Chris sometimes like to say he got the old band back together.
I like it.
You know, Chris worked through some board representation with Andy, so we kind of all came together, and it's a great fit. So, you know,
I love that. I never had a chance to sit down and talk with Chris, and I'm now going to make that a point to do that.
Well, you'll see him in Vegas, right?
And not a better time than in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. So, hey, before we let you go, we have our last sponsor moment of the show with Rytech. my this or that questions. I get to now.
It's cool, rapid round
Yeah.
question.
Now I get to kind of put
Okay,
you under the gun here, my guy.
Let me get warmed up here.
All right.
But
Okay.
I changed them up. I did a lot of research over the weekend, and I'm like, how can I make this more? Well, you're just gonna have to find out. I've changed it up. So this is the first time I've ever asked these questions to any guest, and it's been 3 years.
Here we go.
So, all right, my guy. So, startup culture or corporate environment?
Startup culture.
That was a layup.
I know.
Oh,
I was going to say that's an easy one.
a networking event or a quiet night in?
Networking event.
Favorite book or favorite podcast?
Cool Times.
Come on now. Let's go. All right, Burnie, we'll move you up to the top. Don't worry. Face-to-face meeting or emails?
Face-to-face.
Yes.
Mentorship or coaching?
Coaching.
Ooh,
That one was close.
that's
Because
close.
I've been very fortunate to have some great mentors, but you know what?
Yeah.
I also have an unbelievable team that
Yep.
Yeah, you do.
they don't take a whole lot of coaching, but
Exactly. Risk taking or playing it safe?
risk taking,
Work-life balance or all in for the job?
work-life balance.
Yeah. Just in case Nicole's listening.
I don't think that's reality
Yeah,
sometimes.
I know. I know.
We
I
know.
Especially opening 5 buildings in 5 months
In
all
5
across the country.
So what's my line about work-life balance?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that you don't know my motto. But when I travel and go on vacation, I work on vacation, but just a little bit. I'm all in for the job, but I'm like, I work on vacation. I have to.
So half days.
Anyways, are you quick decisions or a thorough analysis?
Thorough analysis. That's the old finance guy that's still in me, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Cold beer or cold drink?
Cold drink.
Are you beachside or poolside?
Depends on the setting.
Oh.
I would say this summer it's been poolside.
That guy. Awesome, my guy.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake?
Justin Timberlake.
That I got.
Okay.
All right.
I'm old.
I'm with you, Burnie. I'm with you. Hey, man, you survived the Cool Times podcast and the wraparound questions, and you were an amazing guest, Burnie. And I think that what y'all are doing and the company you built and your culture, this is amazing.
It's very cool.
This is cool.
Very cool.
And I'm glad
excited to see how this all continues to develop, as these 20 to 25 buildings go up.
Absolutely.
We're excited for you guys.
Burnie, I apologize
Thank
about
you.
your inbox, but you are now going to be, when this is aired and everyone's listening, you're going to be just bombarded with people.
From all of our many listeners.
That's okay.
From all of our many listeners.
Bring them on, right?
I love it. Yeah. So for all you guys out there, thank you guys so much for listening.
Mhm.
Burnie, you are fantastic.
Right Tech, thank you.
Right Tech, thank you. And
Yep.
and dude, you can listen to this podcast anywhere you want, man. You can rewind, fast forward, anything you want on the Apple Podcast app. We're on Spotify. You can watch this on YouTube. Yes.
Mhm.
And we'll have little intros on all our socials too: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you call it these days. LinkedIn as well. So yeah, man, when you guys are all listening, please hit the subscribe button, share it, spread the love, spread the word. And Burnie, dude, we will see you soon
CEBA.
at CEBA. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for listening to Cool Times Podcast.
Jenna, Vince, thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Same, brother.